Hello, hello, hello. I'm Kathie J, and welcome to the Kathie J Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is a very special day. I have a very special guest here on the Kathie J Show. It is my weight loss health coach. It is Donielle Montoya. Yay, Donielle! Donielle is the program director of FitMD, and you are so much more than that. So thank you for joining us today.
You are welcome.
You have saved my life.
You saved your own life.
Well, yes, with your help. And we're going to get into all that. The importance of why it's important to have a coach.
Right.
So let's talk about you and how you came to FitMD.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead.
Well, I don't know how far back you want me to
I know.
go.
Well, were you overweight? Have you struggled with?
I have.
Is that how you became a weight loss coach?
No, not necessarily. Yes and no. So I've been in healthcare for about 30 years, and I worked in family medicine for about 18 of them.
Okay.
And again, family medicine is sort of that reactive medicine. So people get sick.
Okay,
all right,
because we never go to a doctor until we have a problem.
Nobody goes to the doctors because they're healthy.
No, right, exactly, right.
And so,
then you have to react to whatever we're coming with.
So they have a sore throat. We give them antibiotics. Yes. They have diabetes. We give them insulin, or we give them medicine.
Pill. Right.
Right. And so we call that the reactive side of medicine.
Okay.
So about 18 years, or in 2010, I moved over to kind of a little bit more on the proactive side of medicine.
All right.
So I worked in the Department of Dermatology.
Okay.
But part of that role also is I ran their cosmetic clinic.
That's why.
Yes.
That's why you know
Yes.
about
Yes.
makeup and hair.
And so, a little Botox, whatever.
Yeah, right. Whatever keeps you
any
happy.
of those things that make people happy. But in that process, when I was working for the cosmetic department, we were moving our clinic into the Health and Wellness Center at the Anschutz Health and Wellness, or Anschutz campus.
Yes.
And so in that process is when I met kind of the directors of the center, and they offered me the role of running the wellness clinic there.
Okay.
So I took over as the clinic director for the wellness center.
Okay.
And in that is weight loss.
Gotcha.
And so that's sort of how I got into it. And at that time, I was actually very overweight. And I met one of my mentors and one of my coaches that kind of taught me how to take care of myself first. And it was interesting because she used to always say to me, she's like, I never looked at you as overweight because you were just so confident, and you
carried it well.
Confident and competent.
Right.
I carried it well.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Right.
And so, so I started running the wellness clinic, and so then obviously I started taking a different turn for myself to get myself healthier and things like that. And so, that's how I kind of got into weight loss.
So what's so funny, Donielle, is that you worked in the family medicine for 18 years, like millions of Americans, but you saw the weight loss problems coming in, the diabetes, everything that's a problem from weight loss. You yourself were struggling. So you knew, so you know what we're all dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You saw it every day. And then,
I wasn't someone who was overweight my whole life.
Right.
I was a competitive gymnast as a child.
Right.
I was a cheerleader. I think
you're like 5'2". How tall are you?
Yeah, like 5'2". I think I weighed like 115 pounds when I graduated high school.
So you were the one being thrown up.
So I wasn't, I threw myself up and things like that. But I wasn't someone who was significantly overweight.
So you knew what it was.
I was built differently though, because I was built like a gymnast. So I always had the big legs, the big butt, things like that. So I always felt like I was heavier, but I was just solid muscle at the time, right?
Gotcha.
Then later had kids, had 3 children, and each time, you gain the weight, you lose the weight, you gain the weight, you lose. So I felt like I was losing that same 50 pounds all the time.
Gotcha.
And then later in life, I had a bad car accident and messed up my back and really gained. That's when I started gaining weight to the point that I couldn't get it off anymore.
Gotcha.
And that's where I struggled.
And kind
of almost feeling that feeling of like, why me? Oh, well, I'll just give up on it. And then really kind of delving deep into why we have that attitude and why we decide to just give up, or we think that there's nothing out there that's going to work for us.
Right. We're speaking today with Donielle. Donielle is the weight loss coach. She's a program director at FitMD. Now, FitMD has been successful in helping me lose weight, 75 pounds. Yay. And I'm fluctuating. Like I am at a point right now where I think it's down. Like I definitely am in the 60 mark. Like I know that I've gained some and I'm back on, but as I was going through things, I realized why it's all happening. So here's what's so funny. I don't know which direction I want to go in. So before we get to my issues in the diet and what I've learned about me, I really want to talk about why you feel America has a weight problem. Because, because processed foods, our diet, we don't exercise. Like, what is it? Why is it when you look at the world, here we are?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, I think. One of the things that was really interesting, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit. The question you asked me is how I came to join FitMD. And so I wanted to kind of clarify a little bit. So once I got into weight loss, which was 15 years ago.
Right, and that's the Anschutz, right?
Yeah, I started there, went into private practice for a little bit, but I've been with FitMD now for about a little over 5 years. And this is going to kind of get to what you were getting at. But with FitMD was primarily a hormone replacement therapy clinic with weight loss. When I started, I was like, we can elevate this weight loss so much more. And Dr. Ramos was like, absolutely, let's do it.
Right.
Let's see what we can do. Because there's so many different reasons of why people
are
overweight. So one of them can be hormones.
Yes.
And a lot of them is just people, their bodies are not reacting to what it's supposed to react to, right? So they get to a certain age, their body. I used to joke around. I was like, when I turned 30, I'm like, oh, it all went down from there. Then I turned 40, it all went down there. We'll just stop there.
Right, exactly.
And then
and everything's still great.
Yeah, everything's still great. But the older you get, it definitely tries to
stay on you longer.
Exactly. And so the hormones. So I was really fascinated in what Dr. Ramos was doing is changing people's lives through hormones. And I'm like, we could marry the two together. And he was like, absolutely. And so that's kind of where a lot of what we did kind of came from. So I think, number one, I think people's health is just looked at differently. So many physicians just look at you and say, eat less, move more.
Yes.
And I wish it was that easy.
Right.
It's not that easy.
It's not.
Eat less, move more would be the easy answer.
Right.
It's harder to eat less when everything in this world is supersized.
Yes.
Right? I mean, how often we hear people say, oh, for 25 cents more, you can get double the French fries, double the soda.
Well, obviously, I'm going to give you
right?
You're right. That's my deal.
And so, so convenience, our lives are busy. I mean, I have 3 children and my youngest is 16, my oldest is 27, and all of them were in competitive sports, and it was go, go, go. I can't even tell you the last time we had a meal at the house, because you're just constantly going. Foods are not made very healthy. I will say that the world is getting better at having healthy options.
Yes.
We don't make them.
Right.
So they're there. They are there. I know like Disney made a huge thing where they have like your default option now or apples instead of French fries for kids' meals. Things like that.
Right. There's that.
So,
but we're on vacation. Have the fries.
Right, exactly.
Right. That's
no.
I know. Oh, right. Who am I
but
talking
I would say the majority of the people that sit across from me never learned the basics of nutrition when they were younger.
You're exactly right.
So,
you're exactly
including myself. I was a competitive gymnast. I absolutely ate what I wanted. I didn't fuel my body appropriately for the physical activity I was doing. Because everyone says, you're working out all the time. You're a gymnast. You're a dancer. You're doing all these things.
Your metabolism should be going nonstop, right?
You can eat what you want, right? You can, but it has to still be in a controlled environment. You still have to know what a protein is. You still have to know what a carb is. You still have to know what a fat is. You have to know how those things work in your body.
Yes.
And how to, because so many times I see patients that are former athletes. And they're like, I was great until I stopped.
Because they didn't really have to worry about what they were eating because their body was burning all of it the whole time.
And then because of that, we don't learn that level.
No, you're right. And I think that we aren't taught nutrition as a child. No. It's so easy to just get the convenience because we're going. And that was my whole problem is I had no idea. I mean, I was taught
I think I remember that.
3 meals a day and, and then you had to have a snack. And
everybody thinks, I have to have a protein, a vegetable, or I have to have a meat, a vegetable, and a starch.
You got to have potato on each plate.
Every plate.
So I think that is everybody. And when you started breaking down to me, we'll get to how you cut my mentality, but you have seen this so much and you have seen it. There isn't a one answer for everyone.
Right.
And I want to talk about really fast your credential, one more thing. You were on a big show, Extreme Weight Loss Loser, right?
Extreme Weight Loss.
Extreme Weight Loss.
Yeah.
And you did it there at the clinic, and you were the one that was weighing in those patients, and it was extreme. I mean, when you talk about those TV shows that you see, and all of the heavy people had to come into the room, and there was all their favorite food sitting there. She was the one. She was the doctor at the clinic going,
well, I wasn't a doctor.
Well, right. But you were the one going, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And we're on it, you know? So you really have seen through lab rats of that show, you've really seen what pushes us.
Yes.
What makes us click to actually want to lose the weight. Because there's so many, everyone has an answer, but all of us are different. But there is some things that happen up here that need to happen. That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
If you want to lose weight, it starts up here. Let's talk about that.
Yep.
Okay.
So you are correct. I was on the TV show Extreme Weight Loss. I was a little on the behind the scenes, although if you watch some episodes, you might see me every now and then.
Totally.
But
she's the one that's 5'2". You can barely see her. She comes right over the counter.
But I did work with all the cast members.
It was a great show.
It was a great show. They had to lose half their body weight in a year. Chris and Heidi Powell were the hosts. Dr. Holly Wyatt was the medical director.
Yeah.
And I worked with her directly. And so I really got to work well with all the cast members for 3 seasons. So it was a lot of fun. But it also taught me a lot.
Yes.
You know, because like you said, the mental component of weight loss is such a huge, huge part of weight loss.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things is there are a million ways to lose weight out there.
Yes.
So that's the kind of how, the what,
So take the stress off. There's
a million
ways.
There's
that
a million
you can lose
ways.
weight.
You could do
There's a million ways
Weight
to get
Watchers.
healthy. It
You
could
could
be
do
hormones.
Atkins. You could do
keto.
Keto. There's
right.
a million ways, and those are all the whats. But the bottom line is it comes down to your why. And if the why is not strong enough, when the weight loss gets hard or becomes more difficult, if the why is not there, you will never be successful with long-term weight loss.
And can I just tell you, she breaks you down in the whys, because that's like your first question in the consultation is, why do you want to lose weight? And so I remember that I was like, well, I want to be healthy. And you were like, why? And I was like, because I have kids. Well, why does that impact you? Like, you kept me breaking down to the why.
It's peeling the onion.
Yes.
And to get to the core of the onion. Because when you get to the core of the onion, it definitely has a different feeling.
It did have a feeling. You made me point out all of the things that were important to me. And then you said, if you only have one of those, you know, like, remember that?
Yeah,
I had to choose what was, and it came down to, I couldn't live without, I think it was my family or something. And you were like, well, they can't live without you. And I was like, God, got me. And so, but getting to the next step of wanting to drive the bus.
Yes.
Donielle's whole thing is who's driving the bus.
Right.
Up here and in here and here. So we get on the bus.
Yep.
And this is what I want. This is what I brought my little homework for you. So
At least she still has it.
This is my life. Okay. And this is how many times I tried to drive the bus.
Okay.
So this is when I was on a keto program. These are all of the recipes from when I was on tried keto. This right here, my love, is, well, you know, your self-help book, 30-day challenge. I'm not the only person that grabs stuff and has tried to save their life. Time Metabolic Research Center.
Yep.
You know, like, oh, you got to write down what you're eating for breakfast and lunch. Like, this consumed my life. State of Slim, I know that's where Dr. Holly.
Yep. And that's where I started.
This is where you started. I was on this, and I think I lost 25 on this in the 5 months I was on it. Dr. Holly has a lot of, you need to reignite carbohydrate with the this and the that, and it was a lot of work, but again, a million ways to lose weight. Then we got to you, and when I wanted to bring all this because that was information. Nonstop being given to me. Track your success, do this. FitMD, you tracked my success. These are all of my in-bodies. What I talk about is, this is part of your me saying I'm accountable.
Yes.
You have a machine at FitMD that we step on that says whether or not I've been doing the diet right. If I'm eating protein, if I have fat, and all of these things. This is week after week.
Wow.
The past years, there's more of them. I couldn't bring all
impressed.
of them in. But because it's also a way for me to say, look, Kathie, at one time you were 237.
Yes.
And you're not there anymore. And, and so you went up and down. And there's too many of these because I wasted a lot of time because mentally I'd had traps.
I had a big wall to break down.
Big walls to break down. So this is what. So we got this. Now it comes back to this sheet from you, who's in the driver's seat.
Yep.
Let's talk to everyone out there right now about how we move them in the driver's seat from stressed out, waking up every day saying, today's going to be a good day, going to bed mad at myself because it wasn't. For years, that's no way to treat my self-esteem.
Right.
So how do we move into the driver's seat?
Well, I think the first one is you have to become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is everything.
Everything. And people say they are, but you're not.
Yeah. No, they definitely aren't.
Right.
They definitely hide. I'm very impressed. You just actually said your weight out loud.
Oh, when I started? Yeah, I know. Well,
But that's a big deal. That's vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's something that you would have never done.
Never. I didn't want, when you and I started, I didn't want people to even talk about my weight.
I know.
I didn't want people to, because my weight, my entire career had been the topic.
Yeah.
I worked with 2 men on the radio,
Yep.
but people still cared about how I looked.
Yeah.
It's like, care about my voice and the fun coming out of the airwaves, but it was always about how the woman looks.
Right.
And so I tried to fight that stigma of I'm going to prove I'm a big, attractive woman that can get a TV show, and you helped me do that. We got the Kathie J Show on the air. You helped me do that. I had to prove some things as a big woman, and I don't know why. When the whole time I feel like the currency of being thinner might have pushed me farther.
Right.
And I hate to say that, but
Yeah.
being thin is a currency.
Because you overcompensated.
I did.
You made yourself the funny person. You made yourself
Right.
everything that you are, which was
fine.
made you who you are.
Right.
That is Kathie J.
But I didn't want to
what you
share
have
it.
learned
Yeah.
is that your weight and your body and your image is not who you are.
That's so true. And look at you smiling because you knew that from day one. From day one, she was trying to smile
I always
and tell
say
me
the
that.
best coach is the one who believes in you before you believe in yourself.
And you've always believed in me. And
Absolutely.
so I think that's definitely why I want to tell people, if you are having problems struggling with your weight, with your health, with fatigue, maybe it has reached a point where you need help, like Donielle, like Dr. Ramos, because that's what you're here for. You
Right.
have studied it. I'm new in this world.
Right.
And I was going to continue living like this.
Right.
Waking up and beating myself up every day until I found you.
And I think that's what people want to know from me is what's the magic?
Yeah.
There isn't magic. It's you. It's just someone pulling it out of you. Yes, I have definite ways.
got tools.
I got tools.
You
I got
got
lots
tools.
of
You
tools
got
in,
lots of
in my
tools.
toolbox. And how you lose weight is definitely going to be something that
Yes.
the person I used to work with used to say all the time, I'm not going to bet on you on the cookie dough diet, right?
Right.
So there's definitely healthy ways of doing it and things like that. But there's tools, and there's nothing wrong with using tools.
No.
Right?
Some of
Sometimes
your-
there's a medication. Sometimes there's something that you need, and that's okay.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with needing help.
And seeing you every week helped me with things like I couldn't lie.
That's the accountability.
Right, the accountability. Like I remember coming in telling you that I finally admitted to you that the fast food or, getting me on the way home.
Oh, would you like me to clarify what it was that you admitted?
Oh, dang it. No, I didn't know you'd remember. Go ahead. Tell
Of
me.
course.
Tell everybody.
So Kathie used to find a way to reward herself for her weight loss.
I would reward.
So she'd come in and she'd weigh in.
And I'd be like, I lost 4 pounds.
And she lost 4 pounds, and she would reward herself with a Slurpee and Tootsie Rolls from 7-Eleven.
And you just nailed it. It is Slurpee and Tootsie Rolls. Yeah. You remember it.
And
to
I
a
kept
T.
saying to her, like, why is it that you feel like you need to reward yourself with food? And it takes us back to, we do it all the time with our children.
Yeah.
You got good grades. Let's go get a
All of it.
ice cream sundae.
Yes.
You did good job. Where do you want to eat? You did this. So it's behaviors that we have. It's all kinds of behaviors that we have developed. I've done it with my own children.
Yeah, no.
Like, none of us are perfect. Like, that's just how we are.
But once you helped
and
me
so
see it as
you have to recognize that
Yes.
behavior to change that behavior.
And that's what it was. And so she said, okay, you recognize it. You see you're doing it wrong. And then she said, put your purse in your trunk every time you leave me.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would I do that? And she's like, because then you won't stop. Like, it's in your trunk.
It's just
Put your money
making it-
away from you.
Right. What can I do to make it more likely that you won't stop?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, of course, now they have that darn touch Apple Pay.
I mean,
But-
so easy. But no, but you're right, because then a year later, something
Right.
bad really happened to me. And I drove all the way home. And you were like, what happened? And did you stop anywhere? And I was like, I didn't. And so deep in, that was my own
Right.
success.
Right.
Well,
it's empowerment.
Yes.
It's emotional resiliency, right? We've talked about this a million times. So it's emotional resiliency, the great definition of emotional resiliency is learning how to bend without breaking. Right?
Yeah.
Brene Brown, like she's
Yep.
amazing. Like emotional resilience, bend without breaking. Like she talks about it all the time. And so when you were happy or you were sad or you were stressed or you were frustrated, any of those emotions that
Yep.
I can put out there, you broke.
I did.
Right?
Let's reward myself.
I'll never forget, she had these amazing cookies that somebody had made her for
Chef David.
Yeah, Chef David
Ginger
had
snap-
made her
ginger
ginger snap
cookie- oh.
white chocolate something cookies.
Amazing.
And she tells me, she says, well, I have these cookies, and
He only makes them once a year.
only makes them once a year. I'm never going to get them
This is
again if I
amazing.
don't
I've never-
if I don't eat them now. I'm going to have to eat the whole thing. And I was like, there, and she was like, but don't worry, Donielle, I put them in the freezer. And I said, okay, when your emotional resiliency is down, you are going to bend and you are going to break and you are going to get those cookies out of the freezer. Now, by having them in the freezer, you were less likely to eat them because you would have to thaw them, and it takes a,
Right.
But then I just looked at her one day, you.
Yeah, me.
I looked at you one day and I said, throw them away. It's okay. You can throw them away.
Oh my God,
Nothing is gonna happen. You can throw them away.
Right.
There will be a time in your life when Chef David will make you those cookies again.
And guess what? I did throw them away, and there was another time.
The next year.
And you actually ended up making some
I
yourself.
did, because I was like, those are really good. I'm going to learn the recipe.
So you're right.
Right.
And it is about just pushing through the moments.
It is. And so what we were saying is driving with the person in your car, I want to get back to that, is what can you do to make yourself less likely to either break or to be successful?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like when you go to the gym, or if you go to work and you drive past the gym on your way home, even if it's out of the way, you are more likely to stop at the gym if it's on your way home.
Okay.
Right? So if it's out of the way to drive
Then
this
you're not
way,
going.
you're not going to stop.
Right.
If you go this way and you drive out, you're like, all right, I'm driving by it myself, right? If your gym bag is in the front seat of your car, you are more likely going to stop because you see it. It's a reminder.
Right.
Right. I've had patients where they're like, I sleep in my gym clothes because I wake up in the morning and I just want to get right on the treadmill.
Right. It is a mental thing that you have to put yourself into. Like, I had to stop going out to eat with friends. I literally had to get in the mode of, Kathie, are we doing this or not? Like, you fought. Every day you've been waking up for decades, beating yourself up when you go to bed. Stop it and let's do it.
And we talked about vulnerability a little bit. And that was one of the things is so many times people don't want to tell their friends and family that they're on a diet.
Isn't that crazy?
Because they sit there and they say, well, they'll just say again, or whatever.
Like, good luck. Let me know when it happens.
It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It's okay to say it. If I was to revert it back, if you were an alcoholic and you told your family, I'm not drinking anymore, people would be super supportive.
Right.
Right? I have a terminal illness and I can't eat this because of it. They would be supportive. So why is it that we have such a judgment or a stigma on people that are trying to lose weight?
Why?
I don't know.
Me. Why?
I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't either.
And I just tell people all the time, I said, it's okay. Be in control of yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what people say.
You're right. And I had to
Because
embrace that
your
myself.
why is stronger than that.
And my why is I had heart failure, as we know, and I literally was dying.
Right.
And I've run into people who also that I met in the vascular clinic over there at UC Health, and one of them is now on oxygen, and he didn't lose the weight, and he didn't go that way, and he decided to take the medication. And there's so many ways that you can take charge of your life, and it's easier said than done. You've given a lot of big examples, and it's change your life, make it a lifestyle, but let's go to your tools really fast at FitMD, because I do feel that your tools are the secret. Again, you are a tool. And so if you go to FitMD, you get to meet Donielle and you get to have her amazing consultation of telling you, why did you do that? Why did you do that? But if you really want to change your life, I know you're not. It's perfect. Like, you asked me to go smaller. I remember I was like, oh my God, Donielle, get me to 190.
Yeah.
And you were like, no.
Let's look at what's realistic in the next 90 days.
Like, amazing things, you know? So you can take people to dreams that we've only really dreamt about.
Yeah.
But the tools that you have, the thing that helped me is the meal replacement. So that really, I was like, because I didn't have to think about food or reigniting carbs or adding a protein. You took all of the guessing out for me, and the weight started dropping. I had to I just had to worry mentally. Yeah. And then I got to a point where I felt like I hit a plateau. And then we tried the Semaglutide. And Semaglutide, and I want to say I was on hormones too. Like, I believe in those hormones. Like, right away, I was like, we should call my husband. This is amazing. I feel great. It was amazing. So that and the weight loss, everything is just it feels amazing. Right. It feels like something I've never had before. And then you added the Semaglutide to me, and that really moved me into a weight loss it helped me past my belief system. you find that the semaglutide is doing that with a lot of your patients?
Absolutely. The semaglutide semaglutide, tirzepatide, those are all called GLP-1s.
Yes.
Those are kind of the newest craze per se of weight loss.
So the ones that we see on the counter are Ozempic and Mounjaro and Wegovy.
Yeah.
What you have is the compound version,
Correct.
the GLP.
So Wegovy,
I know.
Ozempic was a medication that was originally designed for diabetic patients.
Right.
And they realized that there was a side effect to it of weight loss.
Yes.
So they kind of remarketed it as a weight loss medication called Wegovy.
Okay.
And then we have the compounded version of that.
Okay.
Simply cost is a big deal for people.
For sure.
At Ozempic at $1,500 a month,
Can't
nobody can afford
that.
that.
No.
You know? And so we want it to be a more affordable option and stuff like that. So the compounded version is just as good and does a great job. And then the tirzepatide is the compounded version of Mounjaro, or Wetbound, which is the weight loss version of Mounjaro. But when we come to kind of talking about those tools, is people come and say to me all the time, I want the Kathie J plan.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
they're like,
good.
I want the Kathie J plan. And I was like, well, there's a lot to the Kathie J plan.
Kathie's been all over on this plan.
Let's kind of talk about that journey a little bit.
Right.
So typically what will happen is a patient will come in and see me, and we'll do a consultation. We'll figure out sort of what you've done in the past, what has worked for you, what doesn't work for you.
Your pile of life.
What does your lifestyle look like? Right. So when people one of the very first things people say to me all the time is like, I'm too busy to do this. I don't have time.
That's what they say.
I don't have time to lose weight. I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time. I don't have Back to the first question you asked me is why is the world overweight? Is because none of us have time to focus on ourselves. And so we listen and we come up with sort of a customized plan that's going to work directly for you. So in Kathie's situation, she was a little bit different because she had to, I had to work with her health and her heart condition.
Yeah.
So kind of one of the
things.
oldest weight loss medications that's been around forever. It's called phentermine. It's been around since the 70s.
And there's
medication.
a safe version on the market now that you've used.
Yeah, no, phentermine has always been on the market. Back in the 90s, there was another medication that was mixed with phentermine.
Oh,
That's what the fen diet was.
Oh, okay.
And that one was pulled off. That was fenfluramine.
Okay.
And so with the phentermine, it's been around for a long time. But that is not a medication to take lightly,
right?
If you're someone who has a heart condition,
exactly,
right? And so that was out of
my mix. I couldn't do it, right?
So the first thing we did is we started with a full panel of blood work on you to really determine.
I've got that paperwork too. Blood work,
lots of blood work because we want to see is how are your hormones working in your body and how could this be affecting your weight loss. Right. So we're looking at your progesterone, your estrogen, not just your TSH on your thyroid, looking at how your thyroid is working and different values there, looking at your testosterone level. People don't realize that it's a male hormone, but women still have it and we still need it.
Yes.
Just like men have an estrogen level, which is a female hormone, but they still have it. So we still have to monitor those types of things. Mm-hmm. So we go through all that. We see how much of it is available, how much you're using it, your growth factors, like tons of different lab tests to really determine what is it that Kathie needs.
Yes,
right. Kathie J needs these little, what do you call them? Soldiers.
Right, little soldiers in the body
that we put into her body that's going to help make sure. Now, a lot of times people will think that weight loss is you give them hormones and they just immediately are going to lose weight.
Yeah, no.
But if you give someone if you don't give someone who needs hormones that's trying to lose weight, their weight loss is going to get stalled. It's not going to work.
Okay.
So when you give them the hormones while they're losing the weight and all of a sudden we say, oh, wait, this hormone wasn't working correctly. Now it's going to work correctly because we've optimized you to be the best version of yourself in your body.
Yes.
So number one, we got your hormones right.
Right.
Then number two, we went into the how we were going to lose weight loss. And this was after a very long conversation of why Kathie wanted to lose weight.
Again, I had a lot of onion peels. I was like, why?
Yes. And then once we got there, we kind of put together a plan for you. So yes, you mentioned meal replacements. For you, I did use meal replacements. And when people who don't know what meal replacements are, I use shakes, bars, soups, puddings.
Yep.
They do 5 of them a day and they get one real meal because it's still important to learn how to eat a real meal. Mm-hmm. Plus I value family time and I think people want to have that meal around the table because lots of conversations happen around the dinner table.
It's good.
So I think that's important. And also showing just your family a healthy way of eating too. But these meal replacements are great because it's what's called a VLCD, fancy acronym or fancy abbreviation for very low calorie diet. So we put you on a low calorie diet, but the great thing about it is the meal replacements have all of your micro macronutrients are already there.
Yes.
So it's a complete nutrition.
So your metabolism stays right here through the day.
You're eating right here. I don't want you doing this all day
burning,
long.
burning.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't want you going like this all day long. I want you to be nice and even all day. So you're eating 6 meals a day. You're teaching your body, number one, I don't need large meals. Right?
Yeah.
I just need small amounts of food multiple times a day. All of the, like you were talking about earlier about mixing your proteins and your carbs, that's all calculated for you.
Right.
Okay?
Takes all the guess out.
Yep. And so that kind of does that. And then I only have to focus on one meal to teach you how to eat.
Yes.
One meal. And then when you go to transition off that food, you already know how to do it once. We're just going to times it by 5.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we give you lipotropic injections, which are a fat burner. They help give you energy. They break down your carbohydrates. Lots of magic happens with those lipotropics.
Yes.
A lot of times we'll give you phentermine, but again, with Kathie, we couldn't.
Right.
And the biggest thing is the accountability. So every single week you would come in, you would meet with me. We would do that in body. People focus so much about the number on the scale. It's not about the
that.
quantity of weight loss.
Right.
It's about your quality of weight loss. So I want to make sure that we're losing fat, not muscle.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's not just water weight, like all those
It's
things.
so important to do this with a doctor when you're trying to lose weight the right way, because it's not just about changing your lifestyle. You're changing your body chemistry and you're getting it kind of where it should be for your age and what you're going through. And so I feel that people that get the semaglutide online and such, yes, they might be getting it cheaper than if they went to you. But to me, it's so dangerous because they don't know, like your liver, how your liver's working. I mean, they don't know so much. And, and I just feel like I just wish that so many people would realize that, because everyone says, a lot of things, it is money to come and see you. But when I think about all of the money that I wasted at the Slurpees and the Tootsie Rolls and, and the eating out nonstop. And I mean, when we added it up, it wasn't that much off from going to get healthy. And being healthy is priceless. And so what would you tell people that are questioning the money? Because you do it every day. People are always saying it to you.
Absolutely.
What do you tell them?
I break it back down to the why.
It's your why.
It's your why. If your
I wouldn't
why,
be here today if I didn't find you 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I wouldn't be here.
The why is so important because when you have the why, it justifies. And look, I get it. Price is sensitive.
Yes.
But when you really start looking at about what you're spending money on, if that why is strong enough and is important enough, you find it.
Yeah. And I would also say, being a person that I was, when I try to tell people the why, I say this. I was heavy my whole life, so I never knew another side of feeling healthy. I never knew what it felt like.
Nothing tastes as good as thin feels.
And that's always been a saying. And it came, and I remember it came from like Kate Moss or Supermodel. And so I was so I was like, well, obviously you'd say that, but there is something to be said when I'm on this weight. And the food I'm putting in my body is the right food. My brain is clear. My body feels right. My, the feet, I feel like everything feels good because I'm exercising and my body feels so enhanced and well. And then there's the way when you're fat, and it's a heavy feeling. It's a weird feeling in your head because you haven't eaten the right stuff. It's a fogginess sometimes. Sometimes you can get tired just putting your makeup on because you have extra weight on your arm. You don't realize the extra pain that the weight causes you. And if I could tell people, I'm telling you right now, it's worth the investment to get the weight off of you.
Well, it's kind of like, I remember one time Kathie came to me and she was like, I don't know, do I really feel like I've lost 50 pounds?
Yeah.
And I said, I want you to go to the store and I want you to grab a 50-pound bag of dog food.
It was a horrible thing.
And I want you to walk around Target.
I did. And I couldn't make it. Like, I was a couple aisles. And I was
that's
like,
when you say nothing tastes as good as thin feels. Because once you feel that becomes your new normal.
Yeah.
You don't know until you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of that you just don't know how
Yes.
it feels. And people will say all the time, it's like, I feel fine. I was like, you don't know.
You don't know what the other
good
side
feels like
because
until you get there.
I felt fine. I was a big girl that did a morning show and did a crazy schedule, and I was on TV, and we did it.
And happy, and
I didn't know, and I felt fine, but I didn't know what this fine feels
Correct.
like. And so I'm just grateful that you helped me find my fine. So thank you. And I still feel like there's another fine, like because I'm getting older. I think we need to up the hormones, where I feel like I'm coming back for my blood work. It's in my pocket, new blood work with you.
Right.
Because I'm not playing with my health.
Well, it is something you have to check periodically.
Yeah.
I have people all the time, it's like, oh, I just have my labs work, I'm fine. Nobody knows what lab work is.
Yes.
Right? My PCP did my lab work.
What does that mean?
I always used to laugh when I was in primary care, and people would say to me all the time, they're like, what's my blood type? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm like, you don't check that? I'm like, no, why would we check your blood work? People just assume that you're checking everything in the world to check, but you don't. So when people say, I just had a full panel of blood work, you don't really know what that is.
Yeah, like what did they tell you? Did they break it down for you?
So, I can't tell you some of this, thing. We're checking to primarily look at your sort of overall health and your hormones.
Yes.
That's what our full panel looks like.
Yes. And here's what I love about FitMD is it's not just people trying to lose weight. You have firefighters that come to you. Like, you have the healthiest people that are maintaining their health coming to you because they know that it's a secret.
We see a very large amount of firefighters, police officers, first responders, military.
Yes. One of my favorite firefighters from the calendar. I was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, I'm proud of you for losing weight, Kathie. I've been coming here for years. I was like, so, I mean, when people talk about hormone replacement, I think there used to be a stigma attached to it, but I think now people realize,
people
don't
think
knock it till you try it.
People think you have to be old.
Oh.
Right? You have to be menopausal for women.
How old do you have to be to start hormones?
Not necessarily to start, but to start monitoring them.
Okay.
Right? So we're very firm believers. 16 years old, you should start looking at those levels.
Really?
Because how do you know when they start to drop if you don't have a baseline?
True. That's so true.
Right? I used to always say this too with people who don't like to weigh themselves. I'm like, you could never talk about where you were if you never knew where you started.
Yeah, I know. 237, I'll say it. So when I talk about, when we talk about the blood work, I had my blood panel done at my doctor. That's not the blood work you're talking about. They need to actually come have a real blood panel done from a doctor.
Well, I shouldn't say it's a real blood panel.
I'm sorry.
The panels they do,
Sorry.
the panels they do is real, but it's not checking for this.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
right.
like the panel you get done at your endocrinologist is different from the panel you get done at your primary care doctor versus the panel you get done at your OBGYN doctor versus the panel you get done with a hormone doctor like us.
Yeah, and
we specialize in that. That's what we specialize in. Dr. Ramos has a very, very, very amazing protocol that he specializes in because that's what he's treating.
Yes, and I feel like Dr. Ramos is he is the golden goose. Like you see it. I mean, and he's doing everything that he's allowing his clinic to do. Like he takes care of himself. He does the hormones, and that guy sleeps like 4 hours a night. I don't know how Dr. Ramos does it. That guy's amazing.
Yeah.
But thank you, Donielle, for joining us today. Yes. Before I leave you, before we leave everybody, why is this so important to you?
I think I would ask the question back.
No, this is your why.
No, it's
why is it so important to help people?
Because I want people to have the best versions of their life that they want. Transformative medicine is 1,000 times better to me than primary care. Because, I loved primary care. It was a huge component,
Yes,
I loved it.
Right.
But transformative medicine or preventative medicine is so much better because we can prevent all those horrible, horrible things that happen to people that we've all had losses with.
Yes.
Right?
You mean health issues when we've because you're looking ahead.
My father had a heart attack at 63. I don't want a heart attack at 63.
No.
Right? We've all lost family members and it's all, you can almost contribute everything back to preventative health.
Yep. So instead of doing reactionary health, you need to do preventative health.
Yes.
And
be proactive in your health, not reactive in your health.
Yeah, and you know what? That's where I am. So thank you.
But the question, what you said is, I would turn that back to you. Is all of your whys and everybody's whys out there is why I do what I do, because it's so important to me for you to have your why.
And you know what? She does that smile every time. She's like, I knew you were going to get here. I knew you'd get here. Like, so thank you, Donielle. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to your family, because they're really great at letting you spend so many hours with your patients. And, like your personal cell phone is out there for so many people, and you break it all down and you always help us. So thank you. so much. And
Thank you
FitMD USA.
Thank you for leaving the door open so I could get into you.
Girl, you had a big challenge and you broke it. I always prayed that someone would finally be the thing that broke me, that helped me
I didn't
get
break
here.
you. I put you back together.
Right. Okay. Yeah. FitMDUSA.com is where you can find Donielle, Dr. Ramos, Dr. Hoven, and I'm again semaglutide, tirzepatide, hormone replacement shots, IVs, weight loss program,
Body sculpting.
body sculpt. Oh, the MSala. Yeah,
M-Sculpt.
they have an M-Sculpt which can help with, you shook it on my belly, which is why I think I kept my boobs when I lost my weight, and also the MSala.
The MSala is for
incontinence.
Yeah, pelvic floor rejuvenation. Like everyone needs that.
Oh, yeah.
Both male and female.
Exactly.
And M-Sculpt is great. It's the only machine on the market that helps build muscle and burns fat at the same time.
Amazing. FitMDUSA.com. Thank you, Donielle. Thank you. I'm telling you, you are important. Take yourself first. Thank you. Goodbye.
Kathie J.